Now today we'll do a deep dive into one of my favorite cool season crops, broad beans. So if you like me, planted your broad beans in April, May, then your broad beans are almost ready to be harvested. So in today's video, we will do a step-by-step guide on how to grow broad beans from seed to harvest in the Southern Hemisphere. So all of that is coming up. Now broad beans is an excellent cool season crop. They are very versatile in the kitchen. They are nitrogen soil fixers, and they do pretty well in areas with milder winters. On top of that, broad beans are also low maintenance crop. If you plant them in autumn, you can get your harvest in early spring or mid-spring. Now broad beans do pretty well in cooler temperatures. So here in the Southern Hemisphere, I normally start my broad beans in April, May, and I planted it directly into the garden. So of course you can actually start your broad beans also indoors. Previous years I used to start my broad beans off in toilet paper roll just to avoid transplant shock when I transplant my broad beans. But this year I directly sowed my broad beans, and I planted them approximately 5 centimeters deep, and I spaced my broad beans approximately 15 to 20 centimeters apart. So if you are going to plant your broad beans in rows, it's important to provide your broad beans sufficient time to grow, as well as to allow for sufficient air circulation. Now after you have planted your broad beans, you can give them a good drink of water and just ensure that you keep your seed moist, especially during the germination phase. Now a pro tip will be to maybe soak your broad beans overnight, just to ensure that you have a speedy or quick germination rate. But after your broad beans have actually germinated, they are very easy to look after. There's not a lot of care that you have to give to your broad beans. I think one of the things that you just need to take into account is that broad beans can grow very tall. Depending on which variety you are growing, they can grow up to 1 meter in height. So in order to protect them against strong winds, it will be advisable maybe to use stakes or some strings just to provide some support for your broad beans so that they cannot get destroyed or affected by strong winds. Now when it comes to pest and disease management, broad beans are actually fairly resilient, but it's important to watch out for aphids, especially on the tender growing tips. So it's advisable to pinch off the top growing tip of your broad beans. By removing or pinching off the top growth of the plant will actually deter pests like the aphids, and will just also encourage your pods to develop much better. Now harvesting time is definitely the highlight of the process. So you will know your broad beans are ready when your broad beans are when the pods are big and the beans inside feel nice and plump. So they can actually be harvested when the pods are small and tender for fresh use, or you can wait until your beans are actually nice and mature. Now when you harvest your broad beans, you can simply twist off your pods, or you can use harvesting scissor, and then you must just then ensure that you harvest your broad beans because they can actually provide you with a harvest for a couple of weeks. Now after you have harvested your broad beans, you can either use them in stews or in soup, or you can freeze them for long-term storage. So I still do have a couple of broad beans left in my garden. I will just continue to harvest them as the season progresses. But if you enjoy this video, you can check out my favorite cool season crops. And since we're in spring, you can also check out the video on our monthly planting series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Keep on sowing and growing. Peace.